Right. Now, since I joined the car audio scene probably about 11 years ago now, I've had a lot of bullshit floating around where people aren't being entirely truthful. And that could be person to person, that could be brand to customer, that could be customer to brand. There's a lot of bullshit floating around. So this video is for if you're new to car audio and you want to know a little bit more about what to look out for. So number one. Now this is one I want to address because I hear it all the time, and frankly if you actually think about it, it's a bit stupid. Can you underpower a subwoofer and damage it by doing so? No. It's as simple as that. Think about it like this. Your sub is a punch bag. It will take whatever your amp throws at it. When you give it too much, it will die. If you don't give it enough, it will just sit there. If you punch a punch bag, it's fine. If you start stabbing a punch bag, it breaks. This thing is passive. All it does is take shit and go. That's it. If you wire it too low, it will kill your amp. Yeah, sure, but don't do that. Two, lower ohms is better. To an extent. Now, you're going to get certain amplifiers. For example, I have a couple floating around here. For example, this one is only 2 ohm stable. Now you can wire your sub down to 2 ohm, providing you have the right coils on it. You put this at 1 ohm and it'll either show you a little protect light on the end here, or it will just go poof and you'll have some smoke come out the other side. Now, by contrast, this amp is a Solid Audio F2500 and it does well over rated power at half ohm. People have run these at half ohm for as long as I can remember. Some people get smoke out of them, but they're not being very careful about it. So do not run under your manufacturer's recommended impedance unless you know what you're doing, okay? Three, your gain knob is a volume button. It is not. Your gain knob, quite simply, but if you can see that on there, this one here, this one goes from 8 volt to 0.2 volts. So the idea of your gain knob is that your head unit will have, there's a reason it's next to your RCA port, okay? Your head unit will have pre-outs on the back of them. For example, these. It is up to you to look at the specs of your head unit and determine what voltage comes out of your pre-out, and then work out where on your head unit that voltage is, and you can do that by testing it at the back. That's where, to be safe, you need to set your amp gain to. Don't use it. It's as simple as that. Don't. Number 5. Those plate amplifiers you get on the back of like active subs. Things like this, right? You look at it and you go, that's an alright size amp that. My mate's got an amp that does like 400 watt of that size, yeah. Nah, that's all that's on them. This is purely to get rid of the heat because it needs that much, because the morons that buy these things do not know how to set them up and they burn the shit out of them. Just don't use these, they're crap. Number 6, max power ratings. Bollocks. Ignore them completely. They do nothing. Absolutely nothing. Like, let's look at this thing, shall we? Do you remember that Solid Audio we looked at earlier on? The big one, yeah? That does 3,000 watts. It does that. This Orner claims to do a max of 5,000 watts. See the size difference? I could bend this with my hands. Nah, don't listen to max power ratings, it's a load of shit. Certain brands are only in this to make money. I mean, they're all only in this to make money, but certain brands will use the cheapest of the cheap shit to get you to buy their product, right? Example, Pile. Orna. Fucking so many brands are crap. If you you want to base on this sort of rule of thumb, for every 100 watts, you should pay roughly £10, or what's that, like $15? I don't know how it works in America, but this claims to do 5,000 watts, and these retail at about £70. No. Can you run a big amp off your car's electrical system with no extra batteries, etc., etc.? No. I reckon from, let's say you're in the budget game, so you have a fairly cheap car, you have fairly cheap equipment, all that sort of thing. That's fine. If you're happy, that's cool. You do that. However, I reckon you could probably run about 500 watts, maybe 400 watts, safely and cleanly without your car starting to shudder and shake because it's trying to conk out. If you then go and buy a 1,000-watt amp and plug it into your 8-gauge cable with no extra batteries or anything like that, you just have your standard alternator, your standard battery, wire going through, and your big amp in the back. What you're going to do is you're going to cook that amp, you're going to send it to somebody, you're going to be annoyed, and you're going to bash the brand because their amp blew up. No, you blew it up. Unless you're going to put extra batteries or extra lithium cells or a bigger battery or a bigger alternator and fatter cable and do the big 3 on your engine and all of these things, stay generally below about 500 watt. With another battery, you can go up to about 1,500 watt. With 2 extra batteries, maybe 2,500 watt. You know, it kind of goes up in stages. But the higher you go, the more electricity you need. Therefore, you have to upgrade your power supply. Otherwise, you're going to burn shit out. Is building your own box better? Yes. Plain and simply. Only if you can do it, not even well, just not shit. The most important thing to realise is that it has to be strong and it has to be sealed. And by sealed, I don't mean it doesn't have a port. If you want a port, have a port. It will be louder. If you want it sealed, have it sealed. It will be louder. It will be loud. Just won't sound shit. But the important thing to remember is that every air leak you have between every gap in every panel and every blur around the edge of the sub, it's just going to go. That's all you're going to have. It's going to sound like crap. So make sure that all of your joints are sealed, blah, 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 blah. Which brings me nicely to my next point of... Right. There is a rule of thumb. It's not a great one. It's not one that shops will use because, or anyone that actually knows how to build a proper box will use. It's not one that is really ideal. But if you are on a budget, you can't afford to pay somebody to build your box, but you still want to get a little bit louder, this is the rule of thumb. You have a 10, you want to go for 1.3 to 1.5 cubic feet. You have a 12, you want to go for 2 to 2.5 cubic feet. You have a 15, you want to go for 3.5 to 5 cubic feet. And you have an 18, you want to go for 4.5 to around 7 cubic feet at the absolute most. Then what you do is you take your box area, generally, and you want to have a minimum of about 8 to 15 square inches of port. Now, if you look online, you can go on the 12volt.com, you can go on numerous box calculator websites, and they will tell you pretty much what you need. But yeah, so you want to have those box sizes, and then your port needs to be 7 to 15 square inches per cubic feet. So for example, you have a 3 cubic foot box, you need 30 square inches of port. So put that into your box calculator and it will tell you how long your port needs to be, okay? Cool. And I don't mean to ban brush with this one, but really stick to the brands that you know are okay. And I don't mean ornate and pile, I mean do a bit of research, look into it, okay? So I have got shitloads of amps here, right? I had one come in yesterday from Ryan, thank you Ryan. called a Voodoo. I haven't opened it yet, but let's just have a look at it. What the fuck is that? I've never heard of this. It weighs a ton and I can guarantee that'll all be the outside. So let's pop it open and have a look. Yeah, there's really not a lot in this. Frankly, if you can put your hand in the middle of a board where stuff should be, that's not good. No, shouldn't be able to use it as a tool holder. This is not a good amp. And the last point I want to get across is very simple, and I'll show you. Fuse it. I don't care that your amp has onboard fuses. Like this one, for example, this one has a 40 amp fuse in it. Your car doesn't care that this has a 40 amp fuse in it. Your power wire doesn't care that it has no fuse in it. It doesn't care. Your car doesn't, nothing matters. If you short out your power wire to the body of your car, you will start a fire and shit will burn and carry on burning. Fuse your power wire. Simples. Hopefully this has been useful to some people. If you enjoyed it, you know, the normal shit that every YouTuber asks you to do, comment, like, subscribe, all that sort of stuff. And if you want me to do it again, or do something else, or explain something else, then by all means, drop a comment, and we'll roll from there.